Welcome, friends, to Crazy Women Country, where women's voices matter. We bring you the greatest female voices in the music industry, from the artists, songwriters, and producers, to managers and executives, and all the women who make the music industry what it is today. Thank you for joining us. Welcome, friends, to another episode of Crazy Women Country. I'm Donna.
I'm Paula, and today we have Sarah Ashley with us. How are you doing?
I'm good, guys, and how are you?
Good. Good.
You're
Glad
awesome.
to have you on.
Yes. How's the weather in Tennessee? I'm asking because I know the recent storm. I'm being in Florida here. I know the recent storm came up through and did some devastation. Hurricane Helene. So you're all safe.
So where I'm located, I'm in East Nashville, so right outside of downtown Nashville. We got a lot of flooding, a lot of rain, which was really good. We needed it. We got way too much. But besides that, we're safe here in my location, but definitely East Tennessee got hit really, really hard. I know South Carolina was just destroyed. So prayers and my thoughts go out to, all the musicians out there. And of course, just anyone. My thoughts and feelings and prayers go out to all of y'all.
Yeah, it's horrendous. I've been seeing it on Facebook and the pictures and stuff. It's crazy.
I know I saw a video of a road dropping in and leaving a hole and cars were like around it. And that would be terrifying. And then a bridge just like slowly dropping. I would be so nervous. I just don't know how I could handle that. I don't think I would. I'd be too scared.
I wouldn't be leaving the house. I'd be like,
Right, that too.
Yeah, and it's funny because we have like in Florida, they have mandatory evacuations of the islands, and some people don't leave. They tell them, if you have a 911 emergency, we're not gonna be able to get you. But they still stay, and I'm like, I don't know, y'all are braver than me because I would not, knowing that there's a storm surge of possibly 10 foot or more. I mean,
yeah,
it's scary,
That is very scary. Oh,
gone.
exactly.
Yeah, as long as I've got the babies, we're gone. Anything else
It's
can be replaceable, but my dogs, no, definitely not.
Absolutely.
Definitely not. So yeah. There we go. So, for your first question, the hardest question you're ever going to be asked.
oh.
Here we go. Who is Sarah Ashley?
Sarah Ashley is a singer-songwriter based out of Nashville, Tennessee. She was originally born and raised in Minneapolis, Minnesota. She has a drive and a passion for everything that is music. Her life revolves around that. She almost walks to a different beat because she hears music everywhere. She is passionate about creating not only her ideas and bringing them to life that relates to at least one person, but other artists. She loves to collaborate. She loves to write from life lessons. She is willing to challenge herself, to push herself to new endeavors. So from, starting for her first award show at the International Singer-Songwriter Association in Atlanta to becoming a member of the CMAs and the ACMs, and still just pushing her goals further and further. She has amazing business partner, Amy Jo, and they are working on a 4-song collaboration as well. 2 songs have already been released from that. She drives music in a way that is just truly authentic to herself. And I spoke all of that in third party.
The way it was done in third person, that was just amazing. That was very good. I love that.
It is. It's definitely different. Like sometimes, that's why we ask the question the way we do it, so that way we can see your response, because that's it. It's tell us about who you are, who you are as an artist, whatever you want to say, and that's exactly perfect. I mean, yeah.
I sometimes think it's easier to describe yourself as if you're looking at yourself versus you know, for me, because Sarah Ashley is also just me as everyday Sarah Ashley too. So I know me in music is just a little bit different than me as who I am in my day-to-day life, which is funny, you know, caring, compassionate, a dog mom, um, loves to help people and things like that. And so I don't know, it's just easier for me to kind of get out of my head of what do I want to say and say it as a third person describing
I
me.
love it. That is very
Absolutely. I think that's a great thing for job interviews too, by the way. I'm just that just was a good point that you said about, you know, my personal is just a little different than who I am as more of a musician. And I think, yeah, that's a
yeah,
great learning curve there for people.
definitely.
Wow, great.
I love it.
So tell us what how did you get started in music? Like what inspired it? I mean, I know you were always playing music from little up and stuff, but what was that pivotal moment that you're like, I can do this full time. I want to do this full time.
So, well, you kind of answered the first half of how I got into music, which was as a child from my parents and from my grandparents. I went actually for my undergrad at the University of South Dakota, and I actually sang opera. So I knew right then and got a music studies degree. I've always wanted to teach, but they were kind of talking away of like the student teaching section wasn't going to be one semester, it was going to be two. And I was like, oh, I can't afford that. So I immediately switched it, got a minor in psychology, and then immediately finished my degree because I just couldn't afford doing a year of student teaching and not getting paid. And then after that, sadly, I had a very difficult breakup and I needed a change. And I knew through graduating, I wanted to go to the University of Florida State to learn conducting and become a major conductor. And then I just was like, I kind of want to do it my way. All these rules and theory and stuff like that, like, I want to have more of a say. I still love conducting and I still will, you know, travel back and if my old university will let me, I'll go in and conduct a session with them or, you know, around here. But it really got into, I had a lot of big feelings and I felt like to make me feel better, if someone said I felt that same thing after that breakup that was really devastating, then I wouldn't feel so alone. So I said, I'm moving to Nashville. And I didn't have a place to live. I've never even visited the city. Um, and as I was driving down with my dad, I did have the job though. That was one thing. I did have the job. When I was driving down, I got the phone call of a place that was a shared situation of a house. So I got one bedroom. The living room and kitchen and bathrooms and all of that was shared. Basically, you lock your own bedroom and that's it. And then I started the job and I started meeting people and I found a guitarist and we started working together on songwriting. And all of a sudden I was like, you know what? I love this and this is what I want to do. And I know it's going to take a lot of time and a lot of work, but this is where I want to focus all my energy, my money, my time into.
That's cool. That's cool.
That's
So
awesome.
why come to music with all the genres out there, and especially with you being, you know, an opera singer and everything else? Why come to
Want to sing opera anymore. I definitely didn't feel that fit me at all.
mm,
Um, you know, I think for me and my voice type and what I really enjoyed listening to, I loved country, but I love also rock, which is kind of where you hear in some of my songs where I'm modern country rock.
yeah,
And I think country as a whole is really expanding out to having subcategories like country pop and country dance and modern country rock and country blues. And I think the genre itself is opening up more. And if I look at it, I mean, yeah, I'm Americana, but I'm really rooted in country.
yeah,
So that's kind of how country became my genre and it felt right.
yeah.
And I think forcing yourself into a genre that you may like and not fit right with your voice or with your personality or your writing, it's not going to work.
No,
That's not authentically being you. And I think for me, country has always been authentically me.
definitely, definitely. I love that.
Absolutely.
It's a great
So
answer.
now that you said about the subgenres and stuff, I want to kind of get into more of the okay, so I've noticed that like a lot of the 90s big hits, like the pop, let's call it that at the time, right? So like those songs were very based on more of ideas or feelings, like not a full story, right? And maybe it's just me noticing this, but I've noticed in the last few years and maybe a little more than a few years in country, that's been happening more and more. So like that, it's just about this one thing. It's nothing, there's no full story, you know, and it's kind of left as it's just talking about, I don't know, whatever you want to talk about, right? Lipstick or your feeling or whatever. Right. So what are your thoughts on that? Like, do you feel like it's kind of like has like that, I don't want to say reincarnation, but kind of has some of that brought back into it?
I think Taylor Swift started a movement of full storytelling. And I think that is, I always been a part of like bluegrass, country, and even blues is very storytelling. I would challenge you on some of the songs of the 90s. If you actually listen to it, the stories are there. They're just more buried, right? It's kind of like the bangers that you hear where I want to sing along because I know this. And some people are like, buried in the song,
Mhm.
but like a lot of the guys country, it was all about loving and losing and trucks and dogs. It all has a story. The theme's the same, where it's all about loving and losing and drinking and my truck and my dog. um but the way imagery is used in those songs tell the story, and it gives the freedom to the listener to attach to it their own self.
Definitely.
Now, if you have a song, I will definitely listen to it. And when I'm not feeling sick, I will come back on and we can dissect it of how I feel and stuff like that. That's why I'm not on the live video today. But it's totally up to you because I would love to.
Cool to get you back on and dissect a 90s song. We'll let Donna pick the
Yeah,
songs. You might
actually,
know.
I'm sorry, I froze. I was totally froze there, but I was gonna say, no, I agree with you on the 90s. 90s had stories out the I'm saying today's don't have as many stories of the pop country, the bro countries, the you know, like there's a drinking song, it's about drinking and doesn't have a full story sometimes. That's kind of where I was going with that. Sorry. Like, sorry, my
Oh, yeah,
internet
yeah.
froze. Yeah, yeah.
I think some of the issues with that is the attention span due to social media is shortening what people are willing to listen to. And that's even including myself as a songwriter, right? If a video on TikTok doesn't grab my attention, I'm going to scroll.
Mhm.
That could be maybe your attention too, of like, I hear this, I know it's about drinking, they're talking about the girl, skip. I think our brains are wired to like, you better grab me and really pull me in. Now, again, I would pick a song. I would love to digest it with you and really talk about it and be like, this is what I think the story was about, the interpretation, and maybe we can see what else is coming on. But I'm definitely more on the songwriter side, where there is stories. So I do think a lot of the shorter ones, the let me just get this quick out there, build a chorus, quick verse, not even a bridge, just musical, chorus, chorus, chorus. Um, it's attention span,
Which
in
is
my opinion.
terrible. In this day, you know what I mean? In this day and age, because we are so driven by computers and what our phone is saying and everything else,
Yep,
our attention span is terrible. I mean, obviously, when I was a kid, years and years and years ago, you listened to the whole song, you really got drawn in by the song. Where, of course,
yep,
as you said, you find yourself now. I'm terrible for it in the car. You listen to new artists, you listen to new albums, and if it doesn't catch me in the first few beats, then I've skipped it. And then
yep,
I find, 3 months down, like, well, why didn't I listen to it then? Because it's actually a really good song,
exactly. I've
but you
done that
haven't
too.
given it that time it needed to actually grab you, which is terrible
Well,
because,
It is.
you
Yeah.
know,
Well, and let's talk about your mood. That one time that you're in the car, you may be frustrated, like, oh, I just need to get somewhere. And
yeah,
your emotions are running you to, I don't want that song. I don't want that song. You want something familiar that you know. And then months
yeah,
later, you're like, oh, what's this? And you're more open too. So I think,
yeah.
to be an artist in today's age is difficult.
Mhm.
You're competing with um, the 5 seconds, right? Catching 5 seconds, no matter where it is in the song.
Definitely.
It's a great point in all of that. I was like, yeah, I wasn't even thinking to that extent. I mean, I think like you were saying TikTok and all that, we think of those in visuals. I just never thought of those in the audios as much because, maybe because I am the songwriter and I like to give everyone the benefit of the doubt and I listen to the whole song, that's just me. So that, yeah, good
And I
perception.
do for like judging awards to finish. However, if it's me as Sarah running to get groceries or walking the dog, doing a workout, which I don't do often, don't tell anyone. But I work out, things like that, working in the yard. If it doesn't grab me right away, head to the next song, head to the next song.
It's not good. I also think back in the day as well, when you became a fan of someone, like when I first got into country music, it was all Reba. Now I have every CD she's ever owned. I'm not saying I've listened to all of them, but the majority of them I have. And I
Exactly.
listened to every single song because you had the CD, it was in the car, it played over and over again. So you did that then. You weren't taken away by anything else because you didn't have the phone to
Yep.
sound so really old. You didn't have the phones. You only you only had TV shows, and that's even
Exactly.
CMT and that sort of stuff. You only had the CD. You only had the little thing come out of the CD to read about it. So you
Yep.
had to listen to it. You had to get into it. Where now you're driven by so many other different emotions and things. So yeah.
Exactly. And the other thing is, back in 80s and 90s, you really fell in love with the person as an artist, not their social media, right? Which is the great thing because, you can mess up once and if someone catches it on social media, it's everywhere. Where back then, you didn't have someone following you around with the phone all the time. So you fell in love with what you saw of them and what they were willing to share. Not everything was just out there.
Definitely. It's harder now because it's definitely more of a popularity contest, and it shouldn't be. It should be down to the music. It should be down to what you're producing. It shouldn't be down to your looks or anything like that. It should be down to what you're putting out. It shouldn't be down to anything else. The music should be telling the story, not.
Exactly.
I feel sorry for artists now. It's gonna be hard.
I mean, I think it's an interesting opportunity that we're in, right? Like, I know my social media, the way that I run it, and I know a few other artists run it this way, is it's all about the music, except for a small percentage that I will open up into like my personal life. That's going to be posting about my dog, posting about what I'm doing in my yard, like my partner, everything. Like, I'm not going to have my life out there so much because I want the focus to be on music.
Yeah.
I want my focus for my music, like the brand collaborations that I have that match me. And one of them could be a dog brand because I love my baby and she gets to be pretty and sparkly too. Which I don't wear sparkles, or she can have a little rib cut off but those are the things where I try to keep it where its majority is about music and there's a small percentage where you can fall in love with me as a person and that's it.
Definitely. I think that's the best way to be. Definitely.
Yeah, and I actually did a kind of a beta test too. I went to like major artists, like I went to rock, so I did like Simple Plan, I did Carrie Underwood, I did Jason Aldean, and I looked at their social medias and it's really heavy about the music. I think what's not heavy is the tabloids that want to bring up the scandals.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So speaking of other artists, tell us some of the people that have inspired you, some of the artists, even some family members that inspired you musically.
Yeah, so well, in my bio, you can see that definitely my grandparents, when I got punished as a kid, would kind of we would sit in a room basically, and there's a big pane window, and you can see everyone still playing outside, and you have to sit there and think about what you did and why it was wrong, and then it was, well, there's nothing to do in here. If the TV went on, you're in super trouble. So that's how I really learned to play the organ. It was something to do to change my thought process and not be just sitting there pouting and bored and, whatever. Well, then my grandfather would play clarinet with me. So we would do little duets for the family, and it was great. Then fast forward, when I was in my mid-teens, I definitely was in like the emotional music phase. So I loved Good Charlotte, Mess, Simple Plan, Good Charlotte. I think I said that already. Newfound Glory, Matchbook Romance, My Chemical Romance, everything. So really just punk rock music. As I got older, well, and then I still had country in there. And let me back up. My parents always played like Patsy Cline and the Mamas and the Papas and things like that, right? So that was my teens. Once I turned like 18 and went out to college, it was really game for anything. I heard a lot of country. I heard a lot of rock. I still had the influences of the Mamas and the Papas. I still had the influences of Patsy Cline. And honestly, Patsy Cline, I don't care what mood I'm in, she could always speak to me. So if I felt like I was going crazy, right? Like, and I'm sorry, I'm sick. That was really terrible. I shouldn't have even tried to sing. But like just hearing that voice and what she could perform in that. And then really got into actually a lot of opera music. I loved Verdi's Requiem. It was amazing just hearing the background. And that's where I think for me, learning more about background arrangement and production was something I really loved. And then I moved to Nashville, and of course, themes. So I'm a very eclectic person when it comes to music. I can listen to anything. I will try anything. And depending on my mood and or just kind of what I want to do for the day. Like if I'm going to go chop some wood, I want some angry music. If I'm going to swim in the pool, I want something on a beach music. So that's kind of what's influenced me. I think professionally from the independent side, I'm definitely going to say every artist that I've worked with has inspired me at one point in time. My first ever client was Gabby, and she was 9 when I worked with her. And she gave me the renewed sense of looking at music as fun and as entertainment and from a child's eyes. David gave me this is how you need to be kind of strict within the discipline and the song structure. Michelle gave me I want to write like Taylor Swift and have really in-depth stories and imagery and things like that, which I really appreciated. I liked that too. And then Amy Jo has taken all of that excitement with me because she is now my co-owner. We co-own a business together with all of our clients, and she has kind of meld all those things together to help me build that confidence of you've learned all these skills in multiple different areas and you know what you're doing. Now let's get you confident in it. Now let's take like you don't have to just stay in the Taylor Swift type of writing where it's really story based. You can take out chunks and leave the ideas and the imagination to the listener. The background, how can that change and take those calculated risks? And if it's wrong, we'll just reverse it. Going on stage, she gave me probably the biggest confidence boost ever. She's like, you wrote this, you got this. So why are you nervous? Because no one's going to know if you mess up. And I was like, oh, dang. Like, and helping me get out of my head. I was like, you know what? You're really right. My parents will. Thank God they're not here. and stuff like that. But so everyone that I've ever worked with directly, just to name a few, has really inspired me in different ways. And now I'm really blessed for the partnership I have with Amy Jo.
Awesome. It sounds amazing.
It is. It's amazing.
Absolutely.
Oh, definitely.
It has been a pleasure having you on, Miss Sarah, and you are welcome back anytime. Of course, let's make sure next time you're feeling much better so we can all interact in videos and drive everyone crazy and be like, hey, what's up?
Absolutely.
So everyone, make sure you check the links out below. We'll have links for Sarah's page and website and things like that and socials. And until next time, friends, we'll see you here. Same crazy time, same crazy channel. If you enjoyed today's episode of Crazy Women Country, don't forget to give us a thumbs up. Be sure to click the subscribe button for new interviews weekly. And thank you, friends, for joining us today on Crazy Women Country, where women's voices matter.